Oh good, here we go again. A trans woman has done something that you personally wouldn't have done. Truly, she must be expelled from the left. Witch! In case you haven't heard, Chelsea Manning, the woman who leaked a bunch of information about American war crimes and who is now running for Senate in Maryland, went to a party for alt-righters. Of course, people in their infinite understanding have declared her now a traitor to the progressive cause. They have deemed this one act as representative of her entire political career. But Mia, it was an alt-right rally and Mike Chernobyl was there and he was hosting it and he was posting pictures and shit. Okay, well, have you heard the old saying, know your enemy? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. But Mia, she contributed money to their cause by buying an entry ticket. It's a few bucks that they can make on selling junk on the internet anyway, in exchange for an opportunity to hear alt-right discourse in an alt-right space firsthand. I'd say that's a pretty good trade. This is my problem about being part of any online leftist group, or social justice warrior spaces, as the internet likes to call it. Any interaction with people who think differently than you starts up these fits of panic that, oh no, this person is a traitor to our cause. It's shitty behavior. And it's behavior that I haven't seen on this scale on the right. Of course, it exists there, but the left is consumed by it. One tweet, one handshake, and suddenly Twitter is in an uproar. In recent years, there's been a lot of internet personalities who people have thought were cool leftist people, but then have turned right around and become red-pilled. I assume there's an ongoing fear that that will happen again, since it isn't fun seeing your favorite internet face saying things that you personally didn't approve of. Except in this case, Chelsea hasn't said anything controversial. She hasn't done anything controversial either, except be there. She was just at a place where controversial opinions exist. And if she wants first-hand experience discussing those ideas, which is kind of needed if you want to counter those ideas, I'd say that's a pretty good place to get it. In some ways, it's even better than a public space, because you're debating them in a closed area that's still on their turf. They are comfortable discussing their ideas in full, but there won't be a public record of every word said. You are allowed to lose a debate. She can debate Gavin McInnes's rotten face all night long, and since no one is keeping a specific track record of what they're saying, it's fine, she can lose. But she needs the experience to do so, and since her claim is that she was gathering intel, I'd say that's pretty representative of what she might have been doing. This isn't the first time I've seen this fear manifest into sheer terror and Twitter harassment. It happens every time a woman does something that people on the internet don't agree with. It also seems to happen to any trans woman online who does something without consulting the internet first. I think it happens to all women, but I'm a trans woman, so that's what I see more often. However, what I do want to talk about is why people are so happy and giddy to start discrediting and harassing a trans woman publicly so quickly. Here's a controversial statement. The left doesn't care about trans people. If anything, recent years have shown that leftist movements prefer to use trans women more as a political tool or more as a political pawn to be sacrificed. It's also telling how often trans issues come up in leftist discourse, because it usually only comes up when it serves some other leftist interest. The Democratic Party, for example, not that that's very leftist, they never cared about LGBT issues until most of the country did. And politicians haven't discussed trans issues at all until very recently, when trans people became much more prominent in public life. This is happening on YouTube as well. Kinda lefty YouTuber ContraPoints not long ago announced that she was going to have a debate with a conservative free speech group. This was going to be together with some other YouTubers who fall more on the right of the political spectrum. This alone led to ContraPoints being a victim of harassment for weeks by her own audience, for the sole crime of interacting with YouTubers on the more right side of politics, such as Blair White. While you can always make valid criticism of someone, there's a difference between offering a different opinion to strengthen your ally's arguments, than silencing your ally's argument completely. People are so thirsty to hate on trans women that they will use any tangent available to hate them. In the case of ContraPoints, one Holocaust denier who commented on a post 2 years ago and was quickly dealt with somehow turned into the argument that ContraPoints was hosting a fundraiser for Holocaust deniers. This doesn't make any sense at all, unless of course you want to openly hate on trans women without being openly transphobic. Instead of thinking of influential women online as people with opinions, people like to think of them as strawmen. They find weird arguments to support something that they can use to hate them without being openly transphobic. This is especially popular among people who want to hate on trans women already, but they can't do so in spaces that are against transphobia. They find the slightest amount of evidence that they can use to have a valid criticism against someone, and then take that point to its furthest conclusion. I think this comes down to the fact that people don't see women as individuals, but instead as tools to be used in political arguments. This is a sign that to the left, and to a lot of political movements, we aren't the voices of our own political opinions, but the voices of our political husbands. The internet loves to put attributes on people that they never had to begin with. The entire culture of internet fandom has a problem of creating personality cults around people who never asked for them to begin with. This leads to people attributing things to creators that makes it easier for them to watch their content without thinking too hard about what that content actually says. People enjoy the idea of Chelsea Manning being a revolutionary figure who would bash the fash the moment she could. And they enjoy it so much that the idea that she could have a civil conversation with a political opponent is unthinkable. And the cognitive dissonance between the idea of the person and a real person usually boils down to harassment. Influential trans women tend to become the political housewives of the leftist movement and to their audience, serving not to influence political thought, but to enforce political thought and stroke the egos of those who want it enforced. Every angry leftist becomes empowered and feels special whenever Chelsea tweets something like "We will stand against the fascist," and then just assume that she means what you would mean if you typed those words. This, of course, is a form of objectifying, but instead of objectifying a woman's body, you are objectifying a woman's mind. You'll love it when it fits into your narrative and it fits your expectations, but the moment it deviates from that, if your reaction to the unexpected leaves women in tears, it's a sign that maybe you should reevaluate how you react to the unexpected. The leftist trans community isn't immune to this either. If anything, we're worse. Instead of Chelsea being our housewife, she's our mom. We love her when we want to be her when we grow up, but the moment she doesn't act the way we want, we throw a temper tantrum. We don't want her to just stroke our egos, we want her to do the political work for us. Start seeing trans women in the media like real people with real opinions and real lives. Not just like a machine that tells you that you are on the right side of history because you represent us. And second, I think it's just trust. Like, can we trust trans women for once, maybe? Not just with our words, but like with actions as well. Trust that Chelsea knows what she's doing. Maybe for once? Instead of the first thing you do when she does something that you don't expect is assume that she's a Russian spy.
Well, finally those capitalist pigs will pay for their crimes, eh? Hey, comrades, eh?
Instead of declaring treason the second someone does something that you personally wouldn't, let Chelsea be a person. And if she does end up doing something fucked up, then yeah, sure, but she hasn't. So don't act like she has. When she starts campaigning for white nationalists, let me know. But it says a lot that you will accept any explanation given, except the one that she offers, as long as it paints her in a bad light. Women are allowed to think differently than you, and you are not entitled to whine and moan the second a woman does something that you personally haven't approved of. And it pisses me off that I have to say this to the movement that claims to fight for women and LGBT rights. Thanks for watching my video. This is a bit of an extra rushed video because this entire thing is silly and people harassing a woman over a fucking party grinds my gears. Like, I don't support Chelsea much as a politician, but much of the uproar taking place and a lot of the people on the left outright lying about Chelsea is just outright transphobia. If she ends up actually doing something harmful, let me know. Also, please subscribe if you aren't already. If you comment, I will answer. I live for validation. Ask me anything, I will answer you. I'm also on Patreon now for some reason. If you want to help me keep making these and hopefully make them better someday. My confidence is not very high, as you can tell.